Hey, you. It's a blind life. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the It's a Blind Life podcast. My name is Aria, my sister's name is Belle, and we are two legally blind sisters who decided to make a podcast just talking about our lives. It's a variety show. We talk about what we want, when we want. There's really no rhyme or reason to any of it. It is completely random. What you see is what you get. And today, I think, like I said last time, Belle is still not back from her trip up back to our home state. So I am again here alone. Hopefully next time she will be back, but she is not back today. And when it comes to recording this show, it is a little bit more difficult to record on my own without Belle's input. So I really had to go kind of digging through to find something that works for me to just talk about on my own. And there is one topic that I wanted to discuss a little bit, and that is kind of a question that I feel like everybody kind of wants to know the answer, but it also seems like it might be a little bit rude or something like that to ask. And that is, why is it that blind people wear sunglasses? Why is that the stereotype? Now, I will admit, I have my own reasons for wearing sunglasses. Belle's reasoning for wearing sunglasses is also very similar to mine. So we are both in similar camps when it comes to that. However, over the course of my life, I've run into a bunch of different blind people through different groups, support groups, and that kind of thing. And there are some blind people I've met that they just, they wear sunglasses all the time. That's just what they do. And it's normal for them. And for me, it's kind of, I guess I get into that, whatever you want to do, you do you. And I'm not here to judge you in any way, shape, or form for doing what you want to do. But I was also curious sometimes as to why that is, why that happens. And so, of course, turned to the magic of the internet, and I couldn't figure out why this stereotype has occurred. But the sources that I found that, I'm going to kind of talk about, I will be linking those in the description, essentially, in case you want to check it out. So the one resource that I found, it went through a lot of different reasonings, some of which I didn't think of. So I'm going to just kind of go over those and go over kind of my thoughts on it. So the first reason is that eyes might be sensitive to light, which that is the main reason why both Belle and I wear sunglasses. We typically save our sunglasses for outdoors and take them off indoors. However, I know for me, there have been days when the eyes are tired, the head hurts, it's just not a good time for anyone involved. And so I will just wear my sunglasses inside just to, make it a little bit easier on my eyes. And honestly, it works. It makes things a lot easier for me, and then, just move on with my life. And nobody's really ever said anything to me when that happens, but also at that point, I don't really care because, again, it's not hurting anybody. So, it's that kind of thing. The next one is that due to being unable to track with their eyes. And that one does make sense to me because a lot of blind people, they have trouble kind of quote unquote looking in a normal way. I don't know how to describe that better because that's not quite what I want to say, but that seems to be like what is pushed on from other members of the public. It can definitely feel like people can be rude sometimes for your eyes just not tracking the normal way or not looking, quote unquote, the normal way. And so this then goes on to say that, because they can't do that, they use the sunglasses as a way of kind of shielding from that and making it less unsettling for other people. And again, I don't judge a blind person for doing that. I just kind of also think that that's kind of a crappy reason that has to be a thing. Like, I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me because I'm me. That could just be me. But also, if that's one of the reasons why, if you're a blind person and you're listening to this, you wear sunglasses, I get it. Like, I do. I just hate that you have to do it for that reason. Unless there's another one, in which case you do you. Like, no judgment here from me. So then another one that kind of ties in with that is if you have kind of like a lazy eye or the eyes aren't focused in one direction. And that also, I think, kind of ties in with appearance, because that, from a different resource, that was a big one that was kind of listed a lot, is that just from an appearance standpoint, it's a lot easier, I guess. Like, they feel like it makes them look a little bit better to kind of cover their eyes if something isn't inherently normal about them. And again, another one of those, like, I get it. I wish that wasn't a reason for people, but also I get why. And I have met people like that, which again, in the different groups that I've been in, there would be times where, they would wear them and then they would get comfortable just being there and they would take them off. And like, again, no judgment. It's just, I don't know. Again, I hate that those are reasons. Like, I really do, because that shouldn't be a reason. Like, I don't know. It just annoys me a little bit. Another reason is safety from UV radiation, which that one I understand entirely. That is actually a really big one for me, because we are so kind of on top of making sure that we have good sunglasses and making sure that we have UV protection, like making it as quote unquote good for us as we possibly can. Like, it's not a thing that I think of too often, because it's just kind of an inherent, we make sure that it has what it needs and we get what we need when we need them, because we are kind of a little hard on sunglasses in this family, because we use them like all the time. Things happen, life happens. So again, that's not something that I necessarily think of, but when I was reading through and, that was a thing that kept popping up, I was like, oh yeah, that does make sense, because even though you can't see it, it doesn't mean it's still not going to harm the eye. So again, totally get that. That is a valid reason. The next one is reduction of glare. And again, that's another reason for both Belle and I to wear sunglasses. Again, we also have our contacts, which typically reduces a lot more glare, which is why when we are wearing contacts, it is easier for us to go without sunglasses indoors as opposed to going without sunglasses outside. Like, outside, we need them even with contacts because that's how bright the sun is. indoors, if we have our contacts, that normally cuts out enough glare that we don't also need sunglasses indoors. So again, another reason that totally makes sense to me. I get that. That is a reason to do sunglasses, in my opinion. Then the next one is protection from dirt or other debris. And that is one that I never really thought of. But again, it's another one that makes sense to me. A lot of blind people, they can't see when something's kind of coming to their face, like if a bunch of dirt gets kicked up and they happen to be standing right there, or if they're cooking and something splatters a little bit. Those kind of things you can't see well, so you need something to protect your eyes because you're not going to be able to move out of the way to protect your eyes. So again, that is another one that makes a lot of sense to me. Both Belle and I are lucky to have enough vision that we do have a little bit of that, the reflex to close your eyes or move your face out of the way. But even that for us sometimes can be a little slower, if that makes sense. But normally, recently for me, I've had to wear my glasses a lot because my eyeballs hate me and I can't wear my contacts. So instead, like for me, I'll wear my regular glasses, and that can work as enough of a shield as opposed to just regular sunglasses. Then the last reason that I found on kind of the main source that I looked on is to let others know of their condition. And again, for me, I think that one, I don't like it because sunglasses aren't only for blind people. Like if you see someone walking around with a cane and sunglasses, then okay. Like that is kind of the stereotypical blind person, so to say. But to just have sunglasses be the only factor that points to a visual impairment, for me, I don't see it, but again, that could just be me. Because a lot of times, like when I see people who are just walking around with sunglasses, to me, I'm like, oh, they're just a normal person who they just want to protect their eyes from the sun. I never see it as another thing unless it's, I hear a cane tapping along, or unless one of my friends is like, oh, hey, they have a cane too. Like, just something like that. As opposed to, somebody just walking around with a pair of sunglasses on. So I don't love that one. And then, kind of in that vein, as I was looking around, I found a Tumblr post actually, but it was actually very well written. And the poster was kind of saying that they didn't know where the stereotype came from either. But they did notice that there was a lot of blind people, either wearing sunglasses or wearing eye coverings in general in things like pop culture. And they kind of said that, hey, it's kind of a harmful stereotype, but again, it's kind of become this visual shorthand that if someone, has their eyes covered, or if they're wearing sunglasses and walking around with a cane, they are blind. And not enough people in their day-to-day life see just a blind person walking along the street. So they kind of said, I don't know where it came from. I haven't been able to find where it came from. But that is why it has persisted over time. And even though I don't like that, it makes sense to me. Like, I wish it wasn't that way, but I understand that reasoning. Like, that does make sense to me. I don't know why it's the stereotype either, but I feel like given all of those reasons that I said, like, and a lot of them make sense, and a lot of them, or a couple of them, are more of like a society thing. And there was another thing that I read that it was like, also it's like a fashion statement, and that I'm here for. If you're able to find a really cute pair of sunglasses that you just want to wear and like that's your accessory while also being a helpful tool for you, I'm here for that. Like, you do you. But I hate that there is a societal pressure almost that if your eyes don't quote unquote like look normal, or there's this pressure that due to that you can't just walk around without sunglasses in public. Like, you kind of have to cover that up. And I hate that, because it's just like everybody gets upset when other disabilities or other differences or, all these other things are talked about. And it's just like, yeah, I can understand, yeah, that's not right either. But like, this is also not right. Like, there are so many things where it's just, if you take it piece by piece, like, yeah, all of those pieces aren't right. But then when you put all of those pieces together, it's like, okay, there needs to be a bigger conversation here. Like, there really does. And again, that's just my opinion on it. I am no expert. I make no rules. I'm just here living my life. But I do think that it's just something to consider. And again, if you're a blind person listening to this and you wear sunglasses all the time, no judgment. Like, if you have a bunch of reasons why you do it, I get that, because I have my own reasonings for why I do what I do. Not here for that. Just saying that if it's purely an appearance thing, I can get having that insecurity, and like you do what you need to get through the day, but also it sucks that that insecurity was placed on you in the first place. 'Cause like like in a perfect world, it shouldn't be. And I know the world's not perfect. I get that on a daily basis, but like there are times when I wish it would just be just a little bit better than what it is, like just a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't even have to be fantastic. Like, it can just be okay, But again, that's just me. That's just my opinions on it. I make no rules. I make no judgments. I'm just here talking about a thing that I wanted to learn more about and to talk more about, essentially, and bring up to people who maybe don't think about it in that way. They just kind of are like, oh yeah, it's just a thing that all blind people do. No, not necessarily. But thank you for thinking that, but no, not necessarily. So yeah, I can't really think of anything else I wanted to talk about. I think I hit kind of the major points, but otherwise, thank you for listening today. Thank you for coming along as I talked about the different reasons that blind people can wear sunglasses. Of course, if you like this episode, if you like what you've been listening to, please consider following the podcast and sharing the episode with your friends. It really would help us to grow the show, and we would appreciate the support those actions would give. Now, again, I don't know what's going to be happening next time. Hopefully, Belle will be back, but just in case she isn't, I don't want to claim one thing that we're going to be doing. So it will be a surprise for all involved what we're going to be talking about next time. So, hey, don't forget that it is a blind life, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.